Thank you so much, Sunjit, for that very inspiring keynote. I think the thing that stuck with me most is that it's easy to kind of see a crisis like a pandemic as the most horrible thing that can happen to businesses. And there's obviously lots of downsides to a pandemic, obviously, but it does present so much in the way of opportunity. And it is interesting to think about, how it was the innovative, agile companies that took advantage of this and created really new and brilliant experiences for both customers and employees. So thank you for that. I would now love to introduce two very amazing and accomplished leaders in the world of HR. So we have Jeslie Voon, who is the Chief People Officer of Fujifilm Business Innovation in Singapore, joining us. Welcome, Jeslie. Very good to have you here.
Thank you,
Amanda. And we also have Andrew Denon, who is the Head of HR Shared Services for Synlait Milk. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So I'd love to start off by looking at what does a great employee experience look like at each of your organizations? So Jeslie, how do you know if you're providing a great employee experience?
I think in my context, employee experience is not just about having a decent work environment or nice technology that enable people. I think super or Stella's employee experience is a combination of three things, which is the culture, technical environments, and the physical environment. With that integrations, it should touch on every employee journey touch point, so that, of course, at the end of the day, the great employee experience will lead to high employee engagements, high employee productivities, and employees are more devoted to their work. They will go extra miles. And of course, at the end of the day, it will give a positive result in the business and also improve the sense of individual well-being. So the employee experience can also influence employee decisions to return to a former employer. Like, for example, my company's CEO is a returnee joiner, and we have a lot of people who are left the company and rejoin. So that kind of experience is people leave, they thought that the pasture is greener out there until they touch the field, and they know that perhaps Fujifilm is still the best place to work. So the kind of experience that's bring not just existing, but people who have left and then came back. Perhaps a world-class employee experience can also let an employees to choose to spend their career with the companies, right? And grow with them, because at the end of the day, the company provide the best opportunity to develop and continuously improve their well-being. So, like I say, employee experience consists of culture, technologies, and also the physical environment.
Certainly a good test if people leave and then come back. How about for you, Andrew? Like, what makes a great employee experience in your mind?
Yeah, very similar, I think. I think culture comes first, no matter what. It starts there, it ends there. Your employee experience rolls into your employee value proposition, and then that goes into you're an employer of choice. So making it engaging, making it enjoyable. I mean, for us, we're a small operation, multiple locations. It's that noise, that environment, that the positivity that we like to see coming from our employees within the environment right from the start of the day to the end of the day. So it's a seamless transaction across all different areas, your fiscal, your security, your environment, the discussions that they have. It's critical that they are engaged and that they see the consistency when they're involved with people across the organization. They have access to every tool that they need to be able to run their lives, run their jobs. It's no longer is it a position where it's just work. It's got to be across all balances of life as well. We've got hybrid workers, so how are they sitting within their environments and how they're interacting with the rest of the business and that. So communication access is critical to the other parts that we've looked at already.
I'd love to know like a really practical level, what some of the most impactful initiatives or policies or practices that you've led at your respective organizations are? Like, I know at Inventium, probably the most impactful HR initiative that we've launched is having the 4-day week, whereby you're paid full-time salary, but you work 4 normal length days with 100% output expected. So, Andrew, what's been like 1 or 2 of the most impactful initiatives, policies, or practices that that you've seen launched?
Yeah, we were very fortunate in some ways. You're never fortunate for a pandemic, but we came in about 3 months before it really hit New Zealand with a similar way of working and the flexibility around that works, scale, and giving the empowerment back to the employees and the teams on how they managed their work capabilities within the requirements we had, because we've got a plant, we make infant formula, we make nutritional products, etc., etc. So we have a mixture of, some people do have to be on site, they have to be in the plants, they have to make these things, but also we have a part of the workforce that is capable to work wherever they need to, when they need to. And to drive those productivities, we looked at what was wanted, what we could deliver, and then we built that around the people and the framework, and we brought that out to the business. Fortunately, yeah, about 3-4 months before it all kind of changed, and we all had no choice but to go into the hybrid work environment and that. So it's incredibly successful. Now that we're kind of getting through the maturity of the pandemic, and that we now are going back to that framework and reevaluating it and going, what is it now? And it's not a matter of just a need anymore, it's a want. So what do our people really want? Have they been successful in being able to deliver what they want to, succeed in their development? Their personal lives are now intertwined in between it. What do they want out of that? And really go, right, okay, it's amazing, but how do we make it to a level now that in 5 years' time, it will really be part of that, value brand that we have as a company. And we think that is the key to it all going forward at the moment.
How about you, Jessie? What have been some of the most impactful initiatives that you have been involved in?
I think impactful initiative will be the engagements with the people, let them have the voice in it. That's what Andrew shared is quite valid, the empowerment. Because once you involve the people through the empowerment, they feel that this is something that they created, they're part of it. So it's easier that you create, it's easier than something that you create from the top and then you just cascade. Then somebody says, I own it from the voice. It says, oh, you guys are creating something I suggest. So people are more excited about it. So that's why in the essence, communications or feedback is an important element for us to drive the reality of getting the employee's voice and put in place something that is much more relevant, things which is going to excite them, and thing is going to make the whole initiative much more fruition.
I guess like when you're going to this like ultra flexibility approach and giving people more autonomy, that can be quite scary for managers that are used to more of a kind of, command and control style of ruling the organization. So I'm curious how both of you have managed that. I'm sure you've, both had leaders of that style to kind of contend with.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There is a true diverse mixture of views and beliefs. I think it's really just a matter of giving them the tools, the understanding of, resilience is such a big word these days, and, the ability to adapt is critical. So we spend a lot of time looking at what our leaders need, what skills they need to be reskilled in or upskilled in, and communication. Again, Jessie said, it's all about talking. We really open up those channels and given the ability to hear from our leaders, we've increased our, gatherings, be it online or, fortunately now it's face-to-face again, which is, you just never understood how amazing and wonderful it is to sit in a room with people again and start discussing and talking about things. And I think check-ins are very important as well. We've really formulated our check-ins. We have part of the performance management. We have a regular monthly check-in, but we've also got in between that, just general check-ins with, you know, leaders and their peers and throughout the workforce, just to hear what's going on and, you know, share stories. It's amazing what you can get out of a quick chat. We may not be by the water cooler anymore, but we certainly still can, you know, ensure that that's available there for our people to have that. So for us, it's really just establishing some rules. There's always got to be some of those, working out what tools they have required and building out those, and then really just getting that chat going, that communication going, and ensuring them they realize we're in it together. You know, they're not by themselves, because it's so easy in this environment. Everyone is so busy. There's so many important things happening in a day that, you know, just give yourself 60 seconds, just breathe. We're here with you. What can we do to help? Can we share a story that relevant to what's going on at the moment? And here are some tools that may be able to, you know, just make it just a bit better for you.
With those check-ins, I'm curious. I hear about so many managers that have check-ins, and really they're just status updates and work in progress meetings, and they're not actually deepening connection. Are there frameworks or questions that you encourage the managers to use, or that you use yourself, to make sure that you are actually deepening the connection with those check-ins?
Yeah, so there's a base framework around it. We know what's going well, the things you have to ask: what's going well, what hasn't gone so well, what could we done differently, what do you need from me, what can I do for you for the next period of time that will make a difference in that. And, you know, the first one, how are you? And that's probably the biggest one to ask right at the start, and it makes a difference just for someone to say, how's it going? And then just open it up, and the rest come from that. And, you know, I think the value in that is more than anything else we could do at the moment.
Jessie, I'd love to know for you, like, I'm always curious, what keeps HR leaders up at night? Like, what are the big challenges that you are tackling right now, given we're kind of returning to the office in, you know, many locations, where, you know, hybrid seems to be the way of the future? What are the things that are keeping you up at night right now?
Frankly speaking, I don't be awakened by any such a thing. I think in my environments, we have a very supportive team, very supportive leaderships here, where informations are flowed from bottom up, that we resolve things together. So I wouldn't say it's a sole HR leaders problem. It's a collective leadership's initiative or ownership. You know, if everything is put under HR, it's going to be an HR initiative that HR thinks alone. And whether or not the management leaders buy it in, and there's a lot of pleasing words to do. So I don't be wakened, but I'll make sure the leaders are wakened at night because of their employee feedback. So with employee feedback, then we look at it collectively to say that what are the things that we can do within our control, and what are the things we can't. And we apply an open communication and transparent approach to tell employees what visible and what not visible. And that's the reason why we have a regular communication with employees, such as manager communications. I think back to your early questions about the check-in. The manager's communication is where we target all the managers to raise issues or challenges that a manager may be facing. Also, instill a culture of huddles. So we even go down to extremes that asking managers survey on the spot how regular you do your huddles, once a month, twice a month, weekly. So that's, we want to instill a culture that huddles, regular check-in, and how do you reach out to your employees. So I would say that anything that will have surfaced, it will be addressed together in the collective environments where our executive leadership teams will look at it. What can we do to help and support our employees?
Love that. I'd love to know for both of you what role technology is going to play in the future in terms of delivering a great employee experience. What are your thoughts on that, Andrew?
Well, you know, I'm a converted, so everything's going to come and go from it. Check-ins, we run check-ins through the HCM, so we can bring that data to the table, and we can look at things like check-ins versus your engagement scores to see if the variances and the relevance between the two, and then be able to pinpoint down who needs help, who needs things. But I think technology is critical. Mobility is there, so we're people on the floor, so how do they get access to what they need? How do they get to be able to deliver that information flow and get the information they need? So it's critical there. The ability to analyze is going to, I mean, if you don't hit analytics hard now, in the next couple of years, the difference between those who have and those who haven't is going to be such as extreme. It's going to be very clear who are the winners in this environment. Recruitment, workforce planning, HR help desk, communication, engagement, it's all going to be run through a digital platform. And the more you can connect it, the more you can hold it in one single source of truth, the more you're going to be able to be agile and adapt to change quickly and have that back up to be able to deliver that to decision making. So certainly is probably empathy, people, purpose is critical, but you will need technology to be able to drive those decisions. And event cycles are quickening so much more these days that you've just got to be on top of, you've got to be almost in front of it now to be able to get through it and get the decisions made and to move where we need to move. So we are focused heavily down on technology. We still believe it's a people business, it always will be, but it helps our people. It's another thing, it buys time, and the one thing we don't have is time. So I know it's an incredible tool that we need to embrace.
Yeah. Given all the data that you're getting from the technology that you're using, what are perhaps some of the ways that you're starting to use data differently, or some ways that you're using that data that might surprise people?
Yeah, well, it's funnily enough, it brings you back to the basics sometimes. So we implemented HR Help Desk 6-7 months ago, because of the hybrid workforce, and we wanted a consistency, a transparency, access to everybody. But it's ended up being our pulse survey. So we know when we get we analyze it all the time. We know when people come in and looking for certain things, looking for a certain policy or questioning a certain thing within the environment, that's what our people are looking at, what they're focusing on. So we can build out our communications, we can send out our HR team to go talk to the leaders, go talk to the people to say, we know for a fact that this is something that is on the radar of everybody right at the moment, and we need to address it. We need to make it very clear, and we need to help these people understand what it is that they're looking for. So something very simple that you would never have thought was used for it is something that's really critical to our business. And I had no idea when I put it in there. I put it in there because I wanted to make sure everyone had a chance in every location to get what they needed to, but it's just turned back on us and said, well, actually, this is our driver for a lot of our communications going out to our people. So that's fascinating. I think with the shortage of talent at the moment and how we're running teams and how, it's so busy and everyone's trying to do the maximum as we can, we look at leave and absenteeism very closely to our shifts and our productivity now to make sure that the balance is there and that we're not putting too much on our people that they can't deliver. And if they are delivering, are we causing other issues that we'll have to address in the near future? So it's an amazing tools that we can use, but as always, you've got to ask the why. So we have people sit back and we will sit back and go, why is this happening? Be curious. Why is that? And we drive down certain rabbit holes and see if it's something there or there's a dead end, but it's just a constant little trigger to have a look and just bring it back together that is making a difference and giving us the ability to move fast. So again, back to time.
Yeah. Speaking of which, time has flown during this panel discussion. I'd love to know, as my final question for both of you, can I
add on to what Andrew has mentioned about the technologies? Because what he said is all about, yes, like a modern technology. What I envisage for a good technologies that enables the people to be more productive, of course, like efficiency and innovative. But what the moving forwards or the future of technology, it should be highly leveraged on the data that create more personalized experience. Like to support predictive analytics. I would say that maybe the future of HR will be a fortune teller, meaning like we will be act like a person that can tell the business, I know that who's going to leave, I know that who's going to fit, and I know inside out about your people. So that kind of intelligence built in that enable the HR professionals to position ourselves that, yeah, we have an AI behind our back to provide a prescriptive solutions. So I think that will be a more robust futures that can help to bring us to the future states.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. So my final question now, really, for reals, for you both, is for people that are listening, what is one thing that they could do tomorrow or next month to really improve the employee experience at their organization? Jessley, while we're on you, what do you think? What's one thing?
I think like what I say is the most important thing is hearing from the ground, because nothing will be much more impactful or much more close to the likes of people is the voice of the ground. So if only one thing that we have to do is to connect to the people and get their insight, value their feedback, and starts from there. That's
love it.
Yeah,
so simple. So simple. Andrew, how about for you?
Oh, it's absolutely right. You know, get out and listen. You know, fortune teller, storyteller, but the most important one at the moment is to be a listener. So you can't do that sitting at your desk. You need to get out there. You need to talk to your people and just let them tell you what's going on, and then go back and find the solutions that they need. And we've got a lot of experienced people in the world that will always willing to share. You've got technologies, but if you could just stop, give yourself a bit of time and listen to what their stories are, what their issues are, and what they want and what ideas they have. I think with all of us, we can certainly get things done quick enough to address them, and encourage them and be kind. I think at the moment, more than anything, just be kind to everybody.
What a lovely note to end on. Andrew and Jessley, thank you so much for your insights into the world of employee experience. I think for me, what I take from that is, data is obviously critical and obviously so important to personalizing the employee experience as well, but also nothing beats just getting out of your office and going to speak to people, asking good questions and listening, and using what you are hearing to improve how people are experiencing their workplace. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And I hope you've got lots of insights that you'll be taking forward in your own work.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.